war just yet. So God will take you on a detour of divine protection. He will take you on a detour for your disobedience. And then God is gracious enough that while we're on that detour, even if it's a detour of disobedience, what did he do for the children of Israel while they were on that detour? God developed them. Yes. If you look at Exodus, when they came out, they were not prepared for war. But by the time those 40 years were over, and by the time Moses gave his last sermon and passed the mantle down to Joshua, the children of Israel went from being people afraid of war to being the people who conquered Jericho. That's called development. Yeah. God needs us to be set aside for a period of time so that he can develop us to be able to fight the fights that he has called us to fight. And so every time you feel in your spirit, you're like, are we there yet, God? The question is, are you ready yet? All right. Instead of questioning God, are we there yet? Say, God, am I ready yet? And then be willing to hear what thus saith the Lord. If he says you're not ready. And so you have detours that are of divine protection, detours of disobedience, and then detours of development. And I'm reminded of a story in the Bible that is a great example of how every setback is not necessarily something negative from God. I look at sometimes these detours that we go through, God is also using that detour to put us in the precise position that we need to be in. Do I have a witness in here? I'm reminded of Joshua. Rather, Joseph, so many J's. I'm reminded of Joseph and his coat of many colors. There was a detour that God put him on because of the jealousy of his brothers. Do I have a witness and know that story? Right? He went on a detour in the pit because the brothers were jealous of him. But little did they know, if Joseph had not gone into the pit, then Joseph would never have gone to Potiphar's house. See, God has a way of taking what was meant for evil and setting you up exactly where you need to be for the blessing. Because if Joseph had not gone into that detour of a pit, he would never have made it to Potiphar's house. And if he had never made it to Potiphar's house, he would never have made it into prison. And if he hadn't made it into prison, he would have never found his way to the palace of Pharaoh. Do I have a witness in here? And so sometimes those detours are specifically meant to make your enemy think that you're down. But God said, no. I'm putting you exactly where I need you to be. Because if I don't get you into position, there's a whole generation of people that will miss out on their blessing. If God doesn't get us into position, there's a whole nation of people who are waiting on your ministry. But you got to get off the detour. It's a simple saying we say all the time. We may be delayed, but we are not denied because it's only a detour. And I want to give you one last thing before I get out of here. I noticed that delays are detours of development. Those are great. I need that. God set me aside and developed me and helped me to be patient. Detours of divine protection. I thank you for protecting me from danger seen and unseen. If it takes me a year longer and I get there safely, then so be it. Blessed be the name of the Lord. But that detour of disobedience, that's the one, God. If there's anything that we can do to shorten the length of time that it is going to take for us to get from Egypt land to the promised land, it is for us to no longer be disobedient to the Lord. It is for us to take what God said and not only take it to heart, but to implement it with a level of faith and a level of trust that God can look down and say, I know that person. I know that I can trust them. And so God is looking for us to expedite this journey in the only way that we can. We cannot speed up God's time, but we can reduce our delays. We cannot speed up God's time, but if we get rid of our disobedience, God doesn't have to take us 40 years to do what he can get done in 40 days. Do I have a witness in here? And so I am looking to move in my life now on and forevermore. I want to move in what I'm calling the speed of faith. Somebody say the speed of faith. It's like the speed of light in that the fastest we can possibly aside every sickness and everything that tries to set us apart from God, everything that tries to separate us from the love of God. The speed of faith has a way of disconnecting us from our disobedience and plugging us into the expedited plan that God has for our life. So there we are. When you find yourself on that detour, you find yourself at the fork of the road, the question is, are you going to do what thus saith the Lord? Yeah. And I know that sounds simple enough, but how many times have we found ourselves in that exact fork in the road? And God is telling us to go left, but we chose to go right. God is telling us to go north, but we went south. Yeah. God is telling us to not go at all, and we went anyway. Yeah. Because we have a flesh condition that wants to do it its way. But thanks be to God, I am not bound to this flesh, but I can turn my life over to the Lord and let Him lead me. And let Him lead me. And so we have to be careful as we examine our lives to make sure that we're not looking down on something God is using to develop us. We can't look down. It may have taken you a longer time to graduate college than other people, but that does not mean that God was delaying you. That means God was developing you because it was only a detour. It's only a detour. You lost your job. It's only a detour. You lost your home. Do I have a witness in here? God is saying that felt pretty bad, but I want you to know it's only a detour. And so our job is to examine the situation we are in to determine what type of detour we're on. All right. What type of detour does God have you on? Because if it's a detour of disobedience, that's something we can fix. That's something we can fix by doing what thus said the Lord. If it is a detour of divine protection, that's something we need to get on our knees and thank God for. God, I thank you for keeping me when I couldn't keep myself. I thank you for protecting me when I couldn't protect myself. I was in a hurry, but you slowed me down because you knew if I went too fast, it would destroy me. I don't know about you, but I don't want nothing from God that is going to destroy me. So I want God to give me exactly what He wants to give me, when He wants to give it to me, and how He wants to give it to me. And so my friends, my brothers, and my sisters, as I look at this concept of a detour, I just reminded of one final detour. And that's the detour of my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Because He was more than a man. He was born into the Virgin Mary, right? But God said that He was sitting down 40 and 2 generations. And so God, Jesus' walk on this earth, that was merely a detour because He was here for a short time and He went back to do the work that God created Him to do. And I'm so glad this evening that I serve the kind of God that loves me enough that even when I make a mistake and God has to discipline me, God has to chastise me, I have the kind of God who will send His Son down 42 generations just to make sure that I can be redeemed. I'm so grateful that I am not bound to the bondage that this sinful life has condemned me to. I'm so grateful that the journey that I am on is not predicated on my disobedience because I turned my will over to the Lord. Do I have a witness in here that can say out of everything that you've done in your life, the best detour, the best decision that you ever made was to turn your life over to Jesus? Do I have a witness in here that can testify that though I may be delayed, I am not denied the blessings that God has for me? Because what I'm going through is only a detour. The sickness in my body is only a detour. Lost all my money, but it's only a detour. My friends forsook me, but it's only a detour. I didn't get the promotion on the job, but it was only a detour. The enemy is coming in like a flood, but it's only a detour. Thanks be to God that it may take me a little bit longer, but soon and very soon, we're going to get where God wants us to go. Somebody ought to give God a praise. shall walk and not grow weary. We shall run and not faint, because God has something for us at the other side of the detour. Detours don't last always. Soon and very soon you're going to get off on the exit ramp. You're going to arrive to your final destination. You're going to arrive where God has called you to be. Soon and very soon, all the distractions will be set aside. All the disappointments will be removed. All of the disobedience will be put aside. And there will be people who will say, whatever you want, God, I'm willing to do it. Whatever you want, God, I'm willing to do it. Wherever you want me to go, I'm willing to go. Whatever you want me to do, I will do it. Listen. It's only a detour. But you gotta determine, God, why do you have me in this holding pattern? Is it because you need to protect me from something? You want to throw your hands up and praise Him. Is it because you need to develop something in me? You want to throw up your hands and praise Him. Is it because I've been disobedient? You should still throw your hands up and praise Him, because you're going to be obedient from now on. But let's not let us, ourselves as individuals or collectively as a people, take 40 years when God